It is Saturday, the 19th of October, 2024. My name is Pigeon Rose, and this is my song of the day. Today we're talking about the song Icepick by the band Sadurn. Not Saturn, Sadurn. Very clever name altogether, huh? Sadurn are an American band that I discovered in sort of a funny way. I mean, I talk on this show all the time about how I discover bands. Maybe I heard them on a radio when I was a kid. Maybe someone showed them to me. Maybe I heard them on TikTok or something. But sometimes I just do some specific thing to find new music and it works out. And in this instance, I was looking at the catalog of Run for Cover Records because I love teen suicide and I love artists like Alex G and stuff like this. So occasionally I would just notice that there's a few artists that I like that have this kind of style and they're all on Run for Cover. So I feel like I should just go through the other artists that are on Run for Cover and I'll probably find stuff I like. And there was stuff that I was kind of mid, but I found a lot of stuff I really, really liked. And this was early 2022 when I was doing this, and I discovered a bunch of bands I really liked and a bunch of solo artists as well, and Sadurn was one of them. Specifically through this song, the music video had just come out and I ended up listening to it so much. I remember listening to it when I was in Sweden that year. Their album Radiator that the song eventually was on, I really, really liked as well. It was a very good album. It's one of the songs that I just come back to all the time. It's such a good song. I don't think I need to give it much more of an intro. I just really like it, and we're going to listen to it now and then come back in a few minutes and talk about it. There it is. That's Icepick by Sadurn. I love how laid back this is. It's just got this consistent, the electronic beat. One would assume it sounds like a preset on a keyboard maybe, that kind of thing. And I like that sound sometimes. It's something that isn't done very much, but you see it in early Mountain Goats and stuff where there's live instruments, but a very simple programmed drum beat or something like that. Even just Clint Eastwood by Gorillaz is just was it Rock 2 on a keyboard or something? That kind of thing. I love that sound. And the lead singer, G. de Groot, has a really nice, soft voice. It's kind of conversational despite being very melodic. It just fits the tone of the music very well, and I really like it. In terms of what the song is about, it seems to be about this relationship that's both full of love and also on the rocks. It keeps vacillating wildly back and forth between being a healthy relationship and being an unhealthy relationship, and it kind of details the troubles there, So it starts with, sometimes you get so quiet, walk down to the basement and try to find the light switch and look for reassurance, but I can't reassure you if you don't believe it. I know there's some distance, but I was gonna write it. But you and I are good friends. Sometimes we're in love, and it feels almost like nothing I'm ever gonna find again. I even met your parents, even though they're homophobic, and it took almost a year for you to tell them we were dating. So, sometimes you get so quiet, walk down to the basement, try to find the light switch and look for reassurance. Sounds like, you kind of recede into yourself and try to look for hope, but I can't reassure you if I don't believe it. It's hard for me to help you in these situations if I can't. I don't want to lie to you, I know there's some distance, but I was going to write it. Makes it sound like, I acknowledge the rift in this relationship, but I was just going to kind of let it happen, And then, you and I are good friends, sometimes we're in love, is such a key sentence in this song. But it's really interesting because it's you love your friends, but sometimes we're in love implies we're good friends, sometimes we're in a relationship, right? And sometimes it just feels like they're good friends. And it's an interesting kind of clarification there. And it feels almost like nothing that I'm ever going to find again. Talking about soulmates, whether it's in a relationship or in friends, these people are good for each other and they've put time into the relationship and they've put time into each other. I even met your parents, even though they're homophobic, and it took almost a year for you to tell them we were dating. I went to the trouble of meeting your homophobic parents, but you still didn't tell them we were dating for almost a year, which is understandable, but it's also an understandable thing to bring up here, Then the next bit, and your mind is like a fishnet and mine is like an ice pick. Sometimes it really works and sometimes leave us hanging. And I get so frustrated about your communication, but I know you can't help it. I'm not really trying to change you. Here's the title line. Your mind is like a fishnet and mine is like an ice pick. Makes me think a fishnet is generally quite big. It depends on if it's on a trawler or just a smaller thing, but it catches bigger fish and lets smaller things go, right? Unless you're trying to catch smaller fish. And it makes me think of oh, what's that line? I definitely need to talk about that song. Hold on. There's a bit in Mallrats Semi-Annual by Slaughter Beach Dog that's like he's gathered all of his data and passed it through his passive strainer of a brain. And that's what this makes me think of. Like, your mind is like a fishnet. Big things stick, smaller things fall through. And mine is like an ice pick. Now, an ice pick, of course, is a tool you use to break ice, right? And so it makes it sound like, your mind is like a fishnet, which lets things fall through. Mine is like an ice pick. It's cold and exacting, Sometimes it really works and sometimes leaves us hanging. Sometimes this dynamic works and sometimes it really doesn't. And I get so frustrated about your communication, but I know you can't help it. I'm not really trying to change you. So saying that this difference in how their minds work can be a problem and be very frustrating, but it's not something they're mad at the person for. It's just a frustrating situation, you know what I mean? They're not trying to change the person. This particular line will always make me think of a breakup I had where we talked about the kind of me having ADHD and the kind of breakdown in communication that resulted in that kind of thing. And this line was brought up in that conversation. And then we get, but you and I are good friends. Sometimes we're in love and it feels really important, like I never want to lose it. And you even met my family, even though they are chaotic, even though I keep them distant and never go to Massachusetts. So again, that you and I are good friends. Sometimes we're in love. So bringing that back, kind of reminding about the good in the relationship. I mean, it's the sunk cost thing, You've put so much time and effort into it. I really don't want to lose you, even if it's feeling like it's not working. You even met my family. So again, returning the favor of meeting their family, even though they are chaotic. So not saying homophobic. So it sounds like they're kind of all over the place, but not necessarily a negative trait, right? Just kind of a lot. Even though I keep them distant and never go to Massachusetts. So the person still doesn't necessarily have a great relationship with them, but they still went to the trouble of meeting the family, which is still a noble act and good to return the favor. And then the final bit, your mind is like a fishnet and mine is like an ice pick. Sometimes it's not enough and sometimes I think it's perfect. And I get so messed up because I don't know if it's working. I'm standing by the window. I can't wait to let the light in. Can't wait to let the light in. So then here we get this final bit. Here we're repeating the fishnet ice pick thing, but then sometimes not enough and sometimes I think it's perfect. Again, just sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, and kind of balancing this whole thing and trying to figure out what to do with the relationship, I get so messed up because I don't know if it's working. And then I'm standing by the window. I can't wait to let the light in is a really interesting line to end on. I can't tell if it's talking about like airing out and making a new start, or if it's just about letting the light in, being happy again in the relationship, you know what I mean? There's a lot in these lyrics that I don't necessarily understand. It's an obscure enough song that no one has given a single thought to it on Genius. But parts of it really do resonate with me, and I really love it. And that's why I keep coming back to it over and over again. It gets stuck in my head a lot, too. But yeah, I think that's pretty much going to be everything I have to say about that one. Thank you so much for listening. Please hit like, hit subscribe, leave a comment down below. Tell me what you think. Tell other people about this show. Thank you so much for listening, and I will talk to you tomorrow.
Break it down.
And I even met your parents. There is a time in your life when smile becomes smirk. What is that song called? It's by Slaughter Beach Dog. I can't remember what it's called. There's a song by Slaughter Beach Dog. I'm going to Google it. Hold on. There is a time in your life when smile becomes smirk. Mallrats semi-annual. And it feels really important, like I never want to lose it. I mean, it's the sunk cost thing. Sunk cast.